Greetings, family, greetings. We just had our monthly Black Family Caregivers meeting. And if you've never been, it would be great to go to blackfamilycaregivers.org, register for the meeting, and you'll get a notification. You can register for all the ones for the rest of the year. We meet monthly, so it's not too much of a drain on your time. But one of the things that came up in this meeting that made me just really have to go live is empathy. And the speaker we had this month, Sister Absa Haru, or Lisa Hercules, whichever name you know her by, she was saying that empathy is innate. Either you have it or you don't. And for the most part, we agree. One of the sisters who was in the meeting said that when she started taking care of her mother, she didn't have empathy. She wasn't able to tap into her mother and really feel where her mother was coming from. And that's basically what empathy is, being able to walk in somebody else's shoes, or at least try them on and look at life from their perspective. When we're dealing with people who have dementia or elders that we're taking care of who don't have control of their lives anymore. That's the main concern for them. And even people who have dementia oftentimes recognize, even though they aren't totally with it all the time, they recognize something's wrong with this picture, and they become irritated at the very fact that somebody else has to take care of them. Somebody else is doing the things they used to be able to do. They can remember. And I know when my father first started recognizing, I pointed out to him some things that were happening. He said, I'd rather die than have this happen, not be able to remember. So they recognize when it's starting to happen. And sometimes even in the depths of it, they know something's not right. So dealing with empathy, um, I was watching a video that was sent to me earlier today, and this sister was saying that as a matter of fact, it was sent by Linda, who's here right now. I'm gonna say, hey, thank you very much for coming. I'm so appreciative you're here. She sent me this video, and it was this woman who was a caregiver was saying that her husband gets really irritated when poop collects in his diaper, and he becomes very violent. Well, he becomes not violent. She didn't say he ever hits her, but he grabs her and he squeezes real hard, and he leaves bruises on her body. That's not abnormal. I mean, that's not uncommon. People do that because they don't have a way of controlling what's going on with them, so they take it out on the person who's caring for them. My cousin is taking care of her husband right now, and he too is he recognizes something isn't right with him, but he just goes into this violent place where he starts to cuss at her, and he says, he calls her out of her name. And some of that, I believe, comes from not being able to be in control anymore. This may have been the way they were all along, but we typically stop ourselves from saying the things that we want to say sometimes because we know this will hurt the other person, but we don't have any filters. When dementia sets in, they just let whatever's rolling around in there just come right out. um I want to I want to talk about a situation I saw on Grey's Anatomy one time, because empathy, we we can learn it. It's not something that everybody is born with, but it can be learned. We can teach it to ourselves. Linda is saying what stuck out to her with the lady in the video is that she said she was traumatized after caring for her husband. Yeah. And caregivers, unfortunately, this is another thing that came out in our meeting too. Caregivers often die before the person they're taking care of because we are traumatized. We get stressed to a level that we never would in a corporate situation. We can become the CEO and be doing a job we don't even know. But it doesn't impact us the way caring for somebody we care about who's not the same person they were before. They're just not the same. We do become traumatized when they turn on us because we take it personally. It's not personal. It might be personal toward themselves, and they're looking at us, they're lashing out at us, and they're even calling our names, but it is not personal. They aren't in control of that. And that's the thing we we have to take on for ourselves. We have to start to recognize. Otherwise, we will take it personally, and it will impact us emotionally, mentally, physically. And she said sometimes she just wants to leave them. And that was the consensus in the caregiver group today. Sometimes we just want to leave them alone, leave them to their own devices, but you can't do that because they're like little children. As soon as you hear the house getting quiet with little bitty children, you think, okay, something's wrong. We just can't leave them because then the situation may be even worse. They may hurt themselves. They may, like she was saying, he might throw his diaper across the room, and next thing you know, you have to clean up poop from on the floor, on the wall. Then you have a bigger problem. So empathy is probably the best way to go because empathy helps us to not only feel more compassion for the person we're caring for, but it also helps us feel more patient within ourselves. We develop a level of patience because we have empathy. We see their situation differently. Now, I want to share this story from Grey's Anatomy. And every time I tell the story, I forget little bits of it. So I'm telling the story the way I remember it, and I'm adding little pieces. So I'm praying that Shonda Rhimes' team won't call me and say, excuse us, that is not what happened on Grey's Anatomy. But here's the gist of it. There was a car crash, and there were two couples, male and female in each couple, and one of the ladies was put in the hospital. One of the ladies was just got scratches, so she was treated, and she was allowed to go see her friend who was in the hospital bed. Her friend came to, and she said, "Oh, Sarah, it's so good to see you. It's so good to see you. I just knew that was a bad accident. What happened to Bob? Where's Bob?" She's asking about her husband. She said, "Oh, honey, Bob didn't make it." She said, "Oh my God, oh my God." She starts crying for Bob. And when she opens her eyes, she sees her friend and she says, "Oh, Sarah, oh, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad you made it because I knew it was a bad accident." She goes back through this thing and she's asked again, "Oh, well, so where's Bob? How's Bob?" Her friend tells her again, "Bob didn't make it." Oh my gosh. She goes through it again. She starts crying. And when she opens her eyes, she sees her friend. She has lost her short-term memory. So she says again to her friend, "Oh, Sarah, it's so good to see you." And the doctor is standing at the foot of the bed now. This is one of the interns that the show was all about. She's standing at the foot of the bed and she's watching this exchange. And the woman goes through it again. "Oh, where's Bob?" And her friend opens her mouth and the doctor says, "Bob is being treated. He'll be with you in a moment." And the friend looks at her like, how could you lie to her? Well, how could you keep stepping all over her heart again and again? Because clearly she doesn't remember Bob is gone. So she's getting this news like it's new every single time. Empathy says, lie to her. Empathy says, put yourself in her shoes. Would you want to be told that again and again, to keep reliving that information that hurt, that pain over and over. That's what empathy does. So it also helps you because she's not going to keep tugging at your heartstrings every time she says, "Oh my God, he's gone." So you're in a position, I know it's hard to lie to people that you've made it a practice to be honest with your friends. You've made it a practice to be honest with your parents, your siblings, or whoever is in your care. But we have to make the really hard choice. And my mother did the same. My mother and I did the same thing. We were like, okay, do we lie to him about this? It causes angst at first. Do we lie to him? My mother said, "Oh, I hate to lie to him." I said, but if we don't, then he's just going to be worried. He was worried about his business. He was worried about his siblings. We tell him, how do you just keep stepping on them? You can't. So empathy allows you to be kind in a situation where you may be impatient. My father and I were going to the doctor one time, and he kept asking me, "So, did we get gas?" And he asked me a different way every time. Did I put some gas in your car before we started? No, I already had gas. Okay, so we ride a little further. Is your tank full? And he asked me about 12 different ways about the gas. So on the second I found myself getting a little irritated. On the second or third time, I said, okay, let me figure out, if he's asking different ways, let me see how many ways I can answer him. If he asks me a different way, I'll answer him the way he asked me. Finally, a thought occurred to me. There was one day I was leaving their house and he gave me $20. And I said, "That's okay, Dad. I have money." And this is back when his mind was right. He was okay. And I said, "That's okay. I have some money." He said, "Well, I sometimes I just want to be a dad. Go put some gas in your car." I said, "Okay." And all of a sudden that clicked in my head. He just wants to be a dad. Even in this, with dementia setting in, he still just wants to be a dad. Wow, what a revelation that was to me. I said, okay. So next time he asked me, I said, "We stopped at the gas station and you paid for me to put gas in the car." He said, "Oh, okay." He did not ask me again. These are the kinds of things that we don't make connections with. I was just blessed to have picked that up, but we don't necessarily make these connections. But something is going on in their mind. They're making some connections that we don't know about. Empathy allows us to let them be who they are, yet still we are in control. Empathy allows us to find that balance. It's crucial that we do that. So I'm encouraging you to be empathetic. I'm encouraging you to figure out a way to restore a balance. Okay. I love you all. I encourage you to come to the Black Family Caregiver Support Group meetings the second Thursday of each month. You can go to blackfamilycaregivers.org and register. We have so much good information coming out of there, and I would love for the group to grow and grow and grow. We have a Black Family Caregivers Facebook group. Join the group, share your experiences, share what we're sharing with you. You can go to you can email us at blackfamilycaregivers@wholeselfministries.org, but feel free to reach out to us. In the meantime, I encourage you to be peaceful, productive, and empowered. Okay.